and then I just start asking away. I mean,
All
usually,
right.
but this is always a kind of a good visual shot.
Okay. So the whole video store scene, like, from what I can tell, and correct me, if I'm mistaken, but it's kind of, y'all have been around for 35 years, right?
A little longer than that. Been in the
Oh,
business for over 36 years. I've
oh
been in the
wow.
video business for almost 40 years.
Okay, so like, this was, so you could say it was almost like, from the get-go of like the whole home recording format, like, back when it was so new that, people didn't know, is this legal or something?
No, you're kind of mixing media and stuff. Is
Oh,
it? Yeah,
okay.
because I'm just referring to that because it's like the, I don't think that. Well, it was in the '80s. You could you could actually rent a videotape player machine, very similar to a little similar to what you're doing. It's a bigger one. You could stick a VHS tape in there and record. But yeah, you could theoretically record. Not theoretically, but you could record from your VCR the time in the '80s and record like a show or TV show, but you couldn't rent that out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a felony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. So we got back in the early days, as far as the video market is that the first store only had 198 movies. So back in
Oh, wow.
the early '80s, there's only a few hundred films being released because the studios really, I don't know if you knew this or not, the studios are very hesitant about releasing it to the mainstream. They didn't want that. They wanted full. They've always had full control of it, but there was this guy that I forgot. He used to do those. There's a interesting story. You can look it up on Wikipedia. Is that he kept on bugging him out. It's like, oh, there's this new thing, VHS. Give me some films. And he released, I think it was like 10 or 20 movies. And then the studios at that point realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a really good avenue to another source of income. And that just led the whole sort of domino effect on video stores.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, obviously, one could infer that you love movies and stuff, and like, how did you, like, what led from that up until owning a store?
So that question is yeah, always loved movies. My brother and I, he's 2 years older than I was, is that he would wake me up in the middle, like at midnight or something, or we'd have to stay up to watch some cool Godzilla movies or something. Because back in the days, and your mom could probably contest to this, you would have to just look at the TV guide, or look. It's like, oh, there's a movie, whatever. It's like this Godzilla movie's playing in the middle of the night, or Ben Hur is going to be playing. But you would have to you would mark your calendar until it would show on TV, because growing up in El Paso, there's only a couple of channels.
Okay.
So kick it up, a good probably almost 2 decades when you could rent out a machine and you could pick from at that time there's only a couple hundred movies to pick from, and take it to your home and watch it as your leisure. Oh my God, that was like heaven. Because going to like this avant-garde or cool theaters growing up, watching James Bond movies or Planet of the Apes in the '60s and stuff. It's like, yeah, it was always, or drive-in movies at the time. So yeah, always had a love for film, and then doing the Super 8 movies, that was always really exciting. I did a ton of those, and that was a lot of fun. But those days were just, like I tell my kids, like with you can film and do a movie on your phone, but back then filming on Super 8, you'd have to buy the movies. You have to, when you're 10 years old or something, you'd have to go and tell your mom, hey, listen, I have some money, kind of take me to the store to get movies, and like these 3-minute reels. And so you would have enough money for like whatever, less than 10 minutes. And so you'd have to make sure your script was right. And then once you film it, you have no idea what it's filming, what you had filmed. You get your general idea, and then you have to go leave it off at whatever, whatever. I think it was Gibson's. I can't remember. Maybe it was Kmart. I can't remember what it was around at that time. and it would get developed, and we'd have to wait a month or whatever, how long it took or something. Then you would see it, and it's like, oh, then you start editing and stuff. So those days were just completely different. So that answers your kind of question. That kind of led up to the love of films. So when my brother was actually working at this video store that popped up in Phoenix, is that he asked me, hey, listen, we need a store manager, and started working for a video store. I think that was like in 80 and 80, 81. And it's like, man, this is a great business to go to. And I came to Austin to visit a friend, and we already opened up stores for them. It was called Sounds Easy. And then I thought, it's like, oh man, this is such a cool business. You just sit around talking about movies and rent out movies, you get them back. It's a great business model. And so I decided Austin would be a cool town to open up a store. And back in those days, is like, you were so many video stores. You look in a phone book and map them out on a map, and it's like, okay, there's no video store here, here, and here. And you would, open up there, and then the business, it was like a gold rush. It's like you'd open up a store and you made so much money opening up the store. It's like, let's find a second location, and you open up a third and fourth, and it had a total of 9 different locations in Austin. And then Blockbuster came into the scene and then started crushing the local kind of scene. I think at the heyday, there's probably 400 video stores in Austin.
Dang.
And then, but we did something different, because the mom and pop was always trying to compete against Blockbuster, because they would get Blockbuster dominated the industry by having 50 or 100 copies. And we decided to, it's like, I'm only going to get 5 copies and spend the money on, weird, cool, eclectic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of crushed the vast majority of, all the small independents. And then, of course, Domino's. I mean, it caused a domino effect where you just had Blockbuster and Hollywood's. And then I think Hollywood, closed before Blockbuster. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was, because my peak enjoyment of them was like 2008. I think they closed in like 2010 or something.
The Hollywood or Blockbuster?
Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
I definitely know that they, I definitely remember Blockbuster closing in like 2011 or so. Yeah.
It seemed like it's been longer than that, but yeah, time flies.
It's been a while.
But yeah, so so there you go. That's
Okay.
a super fast edition of the last 40 years.
Oh, dang. So like, so you said that you ran a store with your brother in Arizona, right?
Yeah, it was called Sounds Easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we just kind of managed these 2 stores, and we actually opened up a store for them in Flagstaff, Arizona. And it's like, God, this is a fairly easy business to get into, and it was. It's not your typical business, because you just rent out a product, you socialize, and you just get it back. It was really cool. But the people don't forget, it was that VHS was real expensive. It was like $50 to $65 for wholesale to get a VHS. So when the DVD industry came out in the I think it was like 94 when it started kind of coming out. We were the first ones in town to carry DVDs, because the industry, the thought was back then, that was the end of the era, is that video stores aren't going to, people were going to they theorized that everyone was going to buy movies and no longer rent them, because it was accessible at, under, whatever, $20, $30 to buy DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just the opposite. And I always thought this is like, people are just going to people aren't going to just buy everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just end up, running with that. So for us, it was like a new way, because it was Blockbuster and stuff. Sales were kind of drooping a little bit. With the DVD era, it definitely popped back up for another decade.
Okay. Could you give us a bit more detail about, the story of opening up this store, like, what those early days were like, and I don't know, like early memories you might have of it.
The store was actually down the street, and we opened that one up in '85. And this one we moved, I'm trying to think, it was like in '99, moved over here, and I built this top section to carry this sort of amphitheater kind of, that was the whole sort of vibe of it, kind of like the old theater, where you have this upper deck area. But just that we started, years before we started this thing called Free Beer Tuesday,
Oh, okay.
and
But that was popular.
yeah, it was great because it was a way of socializing. Because would sometimes it's like dawn on me, it's like, oh, let's kind of do something kind of, we'd get beer sponsorship and make it kind of cool because it's like, have drinks and then roam around, and just socialize. It became a really cool event. But
So somebody could say that like maybe the heyday of like video rentals was like the 90s. Like that was the peak. Like what would a normal day and I guess the weekend of like a video store be like for back in those days for people who might not know?
well, to give it idea, back in the early days, is that people would be at your store waiting for you to open up at 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd be a line, and it's like in the heyday of the video industry, like the weekends, they would be, you'd have like 4 registers, and it'd be probably a dozen people in line for each register. It was pretty nuts.
Dang.
This was before Blockbuster.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, we're still busy because we're kind of a niche business, and we we had 5 locations open at once, and they were always away from the Blockbusters. Because we tend to always open up a store that wasn't your typical sort of like, I think, your Blockbuster sort of location. It was more sort of like a lower middle class, neighborhoods.
Oh, okay. So like I think you've mentioned before, like all kinds of people have like treaded the halls of this store. Like what would be some names that people would know?
Reference like celebrities, or
yeah, or just any creative types, maybe on a local scene, or as you mentioned, celebrities, like any notable figures.
Let's see. Well, yeah, it's like I used to have all the science stuff that people would come over from, trying to, think as far as some of the folks that, like local director, Linkletter, Tarantino, we used to, what other locals, or, outside, trying to blanket as far as age, as far as the woman that was in Blade Runner, she came.
Oh, the main love interest, isn't it? Or
yeah,
the one who did the
Oh my God,
backflips.
she's probably be ashamed if she sees this. Like,
Don't worry, I'm not that famous.
so we've had a number of them. I can't, think of them all off, at a hand. But,
Oh, okay.
it's always kind of fun as far as they would, get the staff would, get them to sign the, poster or some kind of box and
Okay.
stuff. So, I mean, it's literally just all over the place, because when you have a business open this long, you have musicians and stuff that are people who, grew up with the inventory, and they would, be successful, and
Okay.
it would come back every once in a while.
What about one of your favorite directors?
Oh yeah, I've heard that like I was reading in a book about Richard Linklater. He said that Austin, when he made Slacker, was a totally different city than it is now, or even when it was the whole music art capital thing of the world. Is it true? Would you say that's true that Austin changed that dramatically?
Oh yeah, all you have to do is look at Slacker and see how just decrepit, Austin was, in the sense that when they're roaming around, how many empty buildings and graffiti and stuff. It's actually I feel like it's gonna kind of turn that way for a while.
Dang.
It's just because, just because it's like with everything closed down, that's what it kind of feels like. It's going back like 30, 40 years. It's kind of
Dang.
crazy. Like I tell my kids, like traveling around the country, like going to New York City, or just how much trash and stuff was around. And then it started getting cleaned up in the 80s and 90s and stuff. But Austin was, it was a mess.
Dang.
I don't know when the last time you saw, Slacker, but you should take a look at it, and it's kind of, oh man.
Yeah, I felt there was, famously, there's kind of always been like, I guess like a friendly rivalry between San Antonio and Austin. And when I looked at Austin, I'm like, oh wow, this feels more like San Antonio now than it does like Austin today. So,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, and but yeah, it didn't feel like, it seemed like a different city. And
It's going to go through a lot of growing pains after
Okay.
COVID and stuff. I think it's going to be a little while before it recovers, because like the music scene, they predict like 80% of the music venues will be closed. And what's happened to Austin is like, this is a perfect example. Is like, if the real estate was reasonable, I would stick around, but because it's so expensive, it's cost prohibitive. Like, for an example, the AC, the reason we're sweating profusely is the AC. Typically in the old days, okay, we get an AC fixed for $5,000, but there's so many permits required that $5,000, AC would be $50,000 now.
Jeez,
and this place has 3 of them, and they're all bad.
Dang.
So not only is that, and then the property taxes are so prohibitive too, was that you'll be spending, $10, $15, $20,000 a month in property taxes. I mean, it's just redunculous.
Dang.
And it gets to a point where only big corporate can handle those type of expenses. In the days I started Iluv Video for $7,000, you couldn't do that, And obviously it was a small inventory, but that's the reason. It's like typically what's happening now. The reason that obviously you saw the post is that to duplicate this inventory would be over $1 million. Just at the it's like, oh, I can get that movie for $1, or this at Walmart or something. But then you start jumping to, the next 20,000 or something. That's like, okay, well, that's going to cost $5 to $10, and then you get to another group that's like, okay, well, I can't find that one. That's going to cost, $20 to $50. So you start adding up because of the vast amount of the collection. So instead of me just kind of giving it to somebody or selling it off to a bunch of individuals so they can have their private library, I think that's really selfish. I think it's better for somebody to take it over and still make it accessible to film lovers, so you still have that experience of a video store.
So this has had like a pretty long and storied history, I'm guessing. Were there any excluding were there any customers who you ever struck up a rapport with, or any that stood out to you, whether they be creatives or just interesting folks who you have any anecdotes about?
Well, yeah, that's like my whole life. I mean, it's meaning there's so many friends and characters. It's difficult to even. Yeah, it's literally endless.
You used the word community earlier when you were describing I guess the music venue that you were talking about.
Yeah, Spider House.
And would you say that this also created a
Oh, absolutely. I think that one thing I didn't realize that I was doing some story years ago, is I called it a cultural curator, is that I didn't realize that when you create a business that's accessible to the people, from music to art to film, and you make it enjoyable and aesthetically sort of pleasing, it's fun and funky.
It's super cute in here.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And it becomes, and I think that's what makes Spider House special too, is that we're always different. Like Blockbuster was very, blue and yellow and very, kind of sterile and stuff. And it's like, this is kind of like, I won't say grungy, but it's the imperfection makes it its perfection.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it's people that typically the creative person and the artistic and eclectic, they're more drawn to a place that's a lot more sort of.
It's got a lot of kitsch.
Right, exactly. Rather than a place that is too polished and stuff. And I think that typically, as my always sense is that when people aren't fulfilled, and obviously this isn't, can be right across the board, is that if somebody wants something just perfect and black and white and nothing on their walls, or this is like their home environment, is that I think there's something inside of them that's like screaming out to be creative. And then people tend to, it's almost like an insect or something, like I always call it, like Spider House, is that people are drawn, like insects or bugs or animals, they're attracted to a certain type of energy aesthetically, visually, in this experience. And it's so I feel like after all these years, it's like, and it just comes from naturally, but I think that when you see stickers or posters, and
it's very eclectic, and it reminds you, it kind of is like a time capsule of the era that started the whole movies and fun, and just it's really fun. It's Yeah.
And we pulled, you're missing a lot because I've pulled about over 1,000 toys, but a lot more.
I like all the posters. I really like the cult thing over here. And
yeah, this guy was back in the early 80s. This guy named Greg Geisler made all that stuff. He pulled a bunch of other stuff off, like he did.
I like
this
the
thing over
TV.
here.
Check it out.
He did that, and yet in the old days, is that Geisler like that? He would cut it up. This was pre, when you would go out and like you just put it in the computer and it prints it out. That's actually a piece of vinyl that he would cut out and stick it on there. There's another one over here.
Do you want to give us a tour?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. It's like, well, there's, too bad with all the toys are gone. Like he did this one over here too. I mean, he's so eclectic. Like I can share you some other stuff that, but yeah, I mean, so he would get a piece of vinyl and just get an X-Acto knife and cut it out.
Dang.
I mean, very impressive and stuff. But yeah, I mean, every little, like I was telling Sebastian that these came from Varsity Theater. We had a bunch of, it was a theater in campus, but we had a ton of, like this was all filled with toys because people they would see our toy collection. They would just drop off just boxes and boxes of toys.
Oh, cool.
And what's really kind of interesting just pre-COVID is that the last couple of years is that we would get thousands of VHS and DVDs donated. People were just starting to throw them away. Because one of the things is that the studios are excited about getting control of all the this inventory, because the video stores are the last haven for the independent business to actually. When I bought these, I have the rights to them, and I can show them publicly. I can rent them out. And they want to have full control of that. That's why it's real important to continue this inventory and continue to grow it, because they want to be able to show movies when they want to show them, and when to pull them.
Yeah, that's.
And that's the reason that Disney's buying all the theaters, because you can keep those on record. Is that Disney's reminded me of GM during the 50s. Is that GM bought all the electric train systems all over the country through another company. And they closed them down because they weren't making any money. And what they did was that's because they wanted to sell more cars. And Disney's currently doing that with the theaters. They're buying out all the theaters and stuff. And I almost guarantee you what they're going to do. They're not making any money. And because they want full control, because they want to stream everything.
Yeah. And I mean, Netflix and it's fun, but it gets real boring really
It does,
fast,
and you don't have that interaction. It's like if you come in, it's like, hey, listen, I'm into this certain movie or director or something. Oh, you should watch this and this. I mean, we're a perfect example. It's 9 out of 10 times where it's like we're talking about movies, and we can't stream it. We stream everything, and we're always here all the time because it's like, oh, let's get this movie because it wasn't available, or if it is available, they want now. I know I don't know how often you guys stream, but you saw an uptick before. You get something for $1, $2 if you can find it on Amazon. But then they want as much as like $10 to stream something.
Yeah.
But if you don't have any other options, going to local video store, it's like, all right, I'll just suck it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
like what were you?
I was just gonna say, the pandemic has kind of shown us all what that's about. And you're just home by yourself, and you want to watch something, so you're sucking it up. I guess I'll sign up for HBO.
Like I was looking for in Leon, it was the Professional, because I wanted to show that to the family. But so let's see. I'm hopeful that something's gonna pan out, that someone's gonna buy it. Let's see.
So you want to sell the place in its entirety, just like it is?
Well, the buildings, as far as my understanding is, she already sold it.
Oh,
okay. So all the inventory
you don't
needs
own
to. The idea first, the thought and idea was getting rid of sell the building with the inventory, or give it away to, But now it's just like, now she is a time clock. So.
Yeah.
Would you mind, maybe walking us through the store and showing us some of like your favorite movies?
They're all my favorite movies.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I'll definitely share this video and stuff that this dear friend of mine is doing a documentary and stuff. But
okay.
And you can actually go on the website and actually go through the whole store through Google Earth, which is kind of cool.
Like I've been to some places where they've, you know, an establishment has, you know, they've decided to, you know, pack it in, but then, and then they like just erase their social media presence. Like, I definitely would hope that, you know, that this place sticks around, if only in like the digital, you know, age.
Well, you know, the goal would be to somebody who would continue the name and continue the social media, because I really enjoy that. I love doing, I don't even follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I love always constantly doing posting and stuff or, you know, trivia. And the whole point of that, like, is to continue. It's like, oh, I didn't think about that movie. Oh, I like to see that one again or show that movie. That's a whole inspiration. I enjoy really doing that.
Yeah. Definitely one of my favorite things about I really enjoyed video stores around 2008 the most. That's when I would just make it a regular thing of going there, and I love discovering movies that maybe other people wouldn't have heard of.
Yeah,
like I got really into like the foreign films, and yeah, I was really glad that I decided to, like, that was a chapter of my life where, you know, I just explored and
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, just that's what's great about video stores. There's so many movies you would never even begin to imagine that you could find, you know, streaming. So,
all right, would you be able to, like, you know, take us outside and talk a little bit about the art on the building?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You just see if you can find Leon, the professional. Yeah, it's Leon, the professional.
Did you walk
I think it's a.
Oh, not yet.
I was just trying to. I don't know if what. I can't remember which what Spartacus wanted. So the gentleman that did was the guy's name is Justin Prince, and the one that doesn't get enough attention is this one here. It's with this is Teresa. She was she worked for us for a number of years, and she was in the front cover of Slacker.
Oh, okay.
And she was a drummer for the Butthole Surfers.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's like a multiple thing. Not only she worked for us, but, you know, she's very iconic as far as it's an iconic image from Slacker, Linklater's first movie, and she was a drummer for the Butthole Surfers.
Oh, Serpico.
And so when we're doing the mural, we're just kind of coming up with different images.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That embodied as far as they've gotten worn after 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Of course, you recognize Westworld and Serpico and Chaplin and Divine and then. But yeah, he's when you're watching, Prince is so talented. When you watch somebody spray paint with a can.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, how do they do that? And it's impressive how long it's lasted, because obviously the sun just beats it. But I think part of it, the not only inside but the outside is adds to the flair of the culture, which is I think is important to.
Yeah, one of the things I've always theorized about places, like, whether they be video stores or bookstores or libraries or churches, is like where something you could do at home, where you could do the things that those places are dedicated to at home. It's like a place that is dedicated to the idea of something, it really enhances that.
Yeah.
Like, the only recurring dream I've ever had is I wake up at the video store that we used to go to all the time, and I'm like, oh wow, it's back. But then I wake up and I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, that's right, it closed a while ago.
Well, hopefully somebody will, I've talked to, a number of different candidates that I think that they get it, understand it, and can make something kind of cool. Especially they enhance it. They have the financing to do like a drive-in theater or a little movie theater would be really cool. So not only it's a old school drive-in theater experience, but you can pick your movie and watch it in theater. So let's see.
Okay. Let's see. Will we be able to go in there and maybe browse through the genres, and if I have a question, you could, like, you know, give me an answer about it, or just, you know, spout off whatever?
Yeah, like what
well, I don't know, if there's some titles that, like, if I see, I'm just going to be like, oh wow, I remember that movie, and then, like, you can commentate on it, or, you know, just whatever, like, whatever happens, you know, will happen.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Awesome.
I think the other one was Metropolis.
Metropolis?
Yeah, it's an animation.
Oh yeah.
Middle kids into Metropolis. Oh, this is a funny something weird video. This was an interesting story on him. I don't know if you're familiar with his stuff. He would grab public domain films back from the 50s and 60s. They're really weird, fun, and eclectic. I mean, you got to remember, like, some of these, like, documentaries and stuff are next to impossible to get years ago, and they still are. Is that because of the rights and whatnot?
Oh yeah.
One of the things that, you know, people don't realize is that when you look at Netflix or Hulu, it's like, oh, okay, they only pick. I think at any given time there's only a couple thousand movies available, maybe 4,000, but you really get a sense when you look at the new releases that come out. It's like, oh wow, there's a lot more that's available, you know, around the world. Like, you know, Bollywood's a massive section. You look at, you know, the Asian market, it just, you know, it's huge. You don't see the vast, you know, I mean, if like this selection was available on Netflix or Hulu or something, you spend all day, you know, looking, you'd be enamored.
Okay, let's see.
This tip, like this wall over here, is that the stuff that people would just kind of donate, which is super cool. It's so we just kind of pick through it and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, we don't have this, or this was stolen, because after, you know, 40 years, a lot gets damaged, stolen, whatnot.
Oh man, craziest thing. This movie, The Fly, like, I still cannot watch this. Like the 1958 one.
Yeah, this is like the original one.
Oh yeah, like I still today can't watch that.
You know, we're currently closed right now.
See? Sorry, I was too scared to come in.
Oh really?
I was like, I don't want to get kicked out, so I was like, you guys go in, and then if it's like,
well, if you want to show your friends, you're more than welcome to check it out. If you never been here before, you're more than welcome. Oh, okay.
Check it out, but they're closed, so they're not.
Yeah, come on in. You know, just an FYI, the AC is out, so it's really warm. So you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, my niece wanted to check it out, but I was
okay.
like, I don't know. Okay. We'll just walk around and look at it for a minute. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, no problem.
You should make a museum here.
But yeah, so what do you think are some genres that have, like, you know, maybe a video store would be more adept at facilitating than, say, streaming?
Oh my, it's really endless. One of the things that I think is really important as far as keeping this eclectic, you know, A through Z, is that Blockbuster was horrible at it, and Hollywood, as far as big conglomerates, was a lot better about that, because they had like a gay and lesbian section. But Blockbuster got so big and arrogant, is like, okay, we're only going to order this movie if you delete this and this scene. They're really big as far as censorship, and I've always been a proponent as far as, like, you know, we have everything. If you want to just pick and choose who you want to watch, you don't have to watch this documentary that may be disturbing, or this horror movie you think is offensive or something. So when you're dealing with, you know, streaming and stuff, they'll edit stuff out where there's just thousands, tens of thousands of films you can't get on streaming because when you're dealing with these big conglomerates, these big corporations, they have their hands tied of what they can or cannot, you know, show because I find that offensive, or you know, you can't do that. So it changes all the time. But with a brick and mortar independence, no, it's like we want to just show everything, and you decide what or not to take.
Yeah, like it's a small thing, but to drive home your point, I was watching an episode of Friends that I had seen on DVD so much before, but then when I saw it on Netflix when it was on there, there's a scene where Chandler, after talking with his boss, gets on his chair and he's spinning around it like a little kid, and on the Netflix version, it was gone. I'm like, hold on, I know this, and it was like, it makes you wonder if they can nix like really small moments like that, you know, what could they do to like significant moments?
I mean, so kind of going back to as far as when let's say you kick up the clock like 10 years, you know, my sense is they're probably going to stop producing DVDs here in the next coming years.
Oh, dang.
Because everyone's streaming, I want to have a DVD player like they did VHS. And then so what happens to the inventory, you know, then?
Dang.
It's going to be completely different. I mean, it's like, so it's going to be different as far as the accessibility when it gets less and less and less, where, you know, all the video stores are gone, or you only have one or two left in the country.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty impressive. Did you find it, Sebastian? Excuse me. You did? Yeah. How about Metropol? Oh my God! I'm doing a brain fart. Yeah. Did you find that one? Is it back over here? Oh.
Let's see. So like the weekend, you would say would be like the sort of busiest time for like a video store, right?
Well, no, it actually kind of changed. Actually, you know, the busiest time ended up being Free Beer Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cute. Yeah, well, I have a ton of toy collection.
Are y'all selling the toys or?
No, we're just, you know, vast majority of them we end up keeping.
Oh, I see.
Depending, because we've had some of them signed.
Oh, I see. That's very cool.
Here's a souvenir. We did these after, you know. So we did was that when we had, I have no idea what's on here, but you ended up doing these kind of retro, kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
But this one's kind of cool. You guys can have this one. This one has a fun because it has the airport with a sticker on it.
Let's see, where is it? Like, have there, I guess, you know, in our day, like we've seen movies that, you know, were really hard to find. Have there been people who, you know, there's been a movie they've been looking for that, like, they remember from
you
way
want a souvenir?
back?
I don't know what's on there, but we just put our stickers on there just for fun.
That's great. Thank you.
It'll be fun figuring it out.
I had a big box of VHSs that my parents got rid of because they didn't know why, and I was really sad about it.
There was actually a whole film festival about that found VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I thought was really kind of cool.
Yeah, I hope they can do that. I really nice.
But that's what those are, you know, old donated tapes. Like, okay, we can't use that, so we stuck stickers on it for fun.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming in, guys.
But yeah, have you had any moments where like somebody came here looking for something they hadn't seen in forever, and you know, they're like, wow, I haven't seen this in years, and I found it here.
Oh yeah, that's daily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, I can't tell you how often we had people coming from San Antonio, or just all, you know, from hour away and stuff all the time.
Like, were there any particular moments where you just felt like, wow, like that stuck out to you that you can remember? Or like, is it all just, you know, they're all just that significant and mean so much?
Yeah, it just like, there's so many of them that when you kind of do something for so long, it just, I wouldn't say you get desensitized towards it, but it just, yeah, and it was pretty much daily that people would just get, you know, I heard about this place, I'm visiting from LA or visiting from, who knows, like somewhere in Europe or something, just wanted to come check it out, which is pretty cool.
Cool. All right, let's see. Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
You got any questions to ask?
Sorry.
Metropolis?
No, it's Metropolis.
Oh.
See, like we couldn't find neither one of those. We could find.
Paulus, but it's spelled weird. But yeah.
Yeah.
Questions? No, I'm
Okie doke.
yeah.
So, do you guys want a tape?
Oh,
Sure.
sure.
This one's a cool one, just because I was saying it has that tape, but just
Oh, yeah,
whatever,
definitely.
just like a Chosky.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it in and like figure out, what we're gonna, like, what's on it.
No, that make it a mystery.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's gonna take this off. Is that cool?
Oh yeah. Let's all right. I'm just gonna go around and get footage and stuff after
okay.
all